Hey, peace, love, and light. I pray that this message finds you in good spirits. I pray that you are here and you've stumbled upon here knowing that you are here for a reason. I'm trying to put the link on here. Oh, here we go. The intention for this live is to share more about the grief healing process and this upcoming 6-week grief healing series that myself and my good sister Kenesha Mays, aka Soul Smile, will be hosting in August. It'll be August 9th through September 13th, I believe, and it'll occur each Sunday starting August 9th at I believe at 10 a.m. Eastern time. That time might be wrong. I'm remembering the time we did it last time, but I think it might be 9 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, that's right. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. Sunday starting August 9th. And we are really, really excited to host this. I just want to put the link up here. Register for healing. Right. Series. Okay. Let me get that set. All right. Confirm that. Okay. Now the link is up there. For those who are able to join us live, if you are catching this on the replay, peace and love. If you're catching this on the replay, then the link to join the 6-week grief healing series will be in my bio. So that bio link will take you to Eventbrite, and that's where you register. One of the things that we did mention last time we were on live is that, we are really dedicated to doing God's work, to doing the divine's work. And if financially you can't, if you're not able to cover the ticket cost, then just let us know and we'll find a way. You can also purchase a ticket at a higher rate in order to sponsor a spot for someone else. So if you actually want to not just receive, but also be able to give the gift of grief healing, and all that comes with learning how to really be with and process our emotions, then there is a ticket option in there available on the Eventbrite as well. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and start. I messaged Kenesha, so hopefully she'll hop on. But I have to hop off in a little bit, so I don't want to delay. Okay. But one of the things I wanted to share, a moment that I had today, and the intention about this live is to talk about just the real power of grief healing. Like there is so much, there's so much grief happening around, and the reason why it has so much of a hold on us in both conscious and unconscious ways is because we haven't been taught how to deal with it. Most of us haven't been taught how to deal with it. There are definitely cultures out there and people who were raised in a level of consciousness where they were brought up in that. But for the most part, most of us didn't have that privilege of understanding these emotions and how to work with them and really how to extract the life, the beauty, the wisdom from them. So this morning I had a moment. I was out running. Oh, there goes Kenesha. So this morning I was out running and okay, I'm gonna bring her in. While I was out running, once she comes on. There we are.
Peace, love. I am cleaning up. I made this delicious smoothie and it wasted all over the floor. I was like moving and I kicked it and now it's all over the floor. So
Oh, okay.
we're here.
No worries. No, well, I'm gonna tell this story while you're getting set. I'm gonna go ahead and share this story
Okay,
that
cool.
came in today. So, and glad to have you here, my sister.
Hmm.
So I was out running, and while I was running, I had this moment. And for everybody who knows me, I'm a new mom. My daughter, she'll be 2 in a few weeks. and I was out running, and I was and I'm by myself, right? The little one's at home with her
It's the
cousins
whole
and her
smoothie. I
grandparents.
kicked it.
So I had this moment for myself.
I want a piece of fish
Yeah.
too.
Hold up. Kanisha, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
on the
mute you for
floor.
a second. Can you mute yourself? Okay. Um, so I was out running on my own, and in that moment, this thought occurred. It wasn't even a thought, it was just kind of like an energy form that came through, and it was like, I could just keep running and not go back. And I was just like, what? What do you mean? You just keep running and not go back home? And before I started judging myself for having that thought of just running away, quote unquote, running away, I recognized like, okay, that's a truth coming up from somewhere, although it doesn't align with my values or how I would actually act. Where is that thought coming from? And in creating that space for that thought, I was able to then recognize that this was coming from a place of pain. And underneath that, I recognized that I'm still overwhelmed. Like motherhood is overwhelming. And what particularly came up for me as someone who's a very sensitive being, I'm more sensitive to energy, to stimulation. Like I pick up on a lot more than other people. I have a lot more mental things processing and synthesizing in my mind than the average person. So my mental load was already pretty heavy before motherhood. And that's one of the reasons why I got into meditation, because I was like, I got to get something to help calm down some of the channels that are happening in my mind. So when motherhood happens, and now you add on a whole other life, and then you add on all the demands and shifts that are happening constantly so fast, because your child, the moment that baby pops into your hand and they're earth side, they're out of your belly, you enter a whole different reality. And it just adds, like it 10x's the amount of mental processing that you have to do. So in that moment of recognizing, like, right now I'm not having to do all that thinking while I was out running, and that there was this thought in mind that was just like, I just want to stay in this state and not go home. There was a grief that rose that said, wow, like your mind will never be the same as it was before. Life will never be the same as it was before. And as much as you love motherhood and as much as you are so in love with your daughter, a part of you is still grieving the pain of having this extra mental activity. And yes, there are tools, right, to help support me and reduce that mental load. But in that moment, myself, a part of me was feeling sad that I have to carry so much. And that's something I feel like is generalizable to everybody, is this part that we have to carry so much, whether you are, a cycle breaker and you are hoping to heal these generational traumas and patterns in your family, and you're the one stepping out and just trying to be so intentional about how you live and what you do, like, and how you heal, and you're constantly healing. Like that's a lot of mental load. My bestie Erin just jumped on here, and she is hosting this whole African festival down in Florida that she inherited from some elders there. So she recognized that she needed to step in and help these elders carry on a tradition, but it's coming with so much. So she's having to carry on top of being a mother as well, and being the cycle breaker within her family. Like, and Kanisha is the same. She's a cycle breaker within her family too. So, this mental load and the pain that comes with that, even the grief of being an awakened conscious person, to where if you can't go back to the way you used to live, like even if it might look fun, even if you have more friends, even if you felt more accepted by society, you just can't go back to that place. That's grief in that too. And when we can acknowledge it, oh my gosh, like that's wow, okay, I feel that pain, I see that pain, we can do that, then we allow space for more of our truth to come to the surface. And through allowing that truth to come up, then that's when we really can live, and live as authentically as we ourselves are, versus trying to live like other people. So that's all of us share on that. But that was something that came up for me. It's just another way that grief exists that we can be very unaware of. Yeah. Oh, unmute yourself, Kanisha. Peace, friend.
Yes, peace, peace. I'm back. I mean, like you said, like all kind of grease, want to be on time. And then I made this delicious smoothie for my family and I, and I'm just looking at it. I have to clean it up when I get done, but I'm like, it's all over the floor.
Yeah. And it's,
Uh,
yeah. And it's being able to even look at that and just be like, okay,
Uh-huh.
all right. There's a part of it is like looking at like, okay, what is this situation teaching me? Like, why did it happen? But also being like, dang, I wanted that smoothie. I put so much love
I
into it,
know. I'm
and it's
just
on
kind
the
of like,
floor.
I'm trying to just like get what I can. It's only a little bit here.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, welcome on here, friend.
Yes,
I
thanks
was
for having me.
absolutely. I want us to keep popping in here as we lead up to the series because Divine has just really put it on my heart, and I know the same for you. It's just that this type of work is so needed within our community as well as just humanity in general. This work is so needed, and again, even for the moment I shared that I had this morning, I was able to navigate through that moment in a place of just like I was able to really be empowered through that moment versus bearing down something, like not giving attention to something that wanted its attention, like not even knowing how to give it attention. Like I knew how to give it attention because of the skills that we've been working on.
Hmm.
So yeah, like I wanted today's live to just for us to just really and for people to ask questions too.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes it's kind of hard to know what questions to ask when it comes to pain. So if you're here, um, I just invite us all to just kind of come into a space of like openness and agreement that whatever wants to be said or needs to be said or to come through us, and that this conversation is facilitated from a place of openness, of love, of divine wisdom and guidance, um, so that way everyone who's meant to hear can receive it. And whether all that they're supposed to receive is just hear this live, or if they are actually supposed to join us on our journey, may what is best for each of us come into manifestation. So, especially
Shay.
under this Lionsgate portal energy that we're already in. So this is
I
where
know.
manifestations come through.
I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I'm super excited for this. And then I think we have like uh 2 to 4 people who already signed up.
Mhm.
And my number for this is I would like to have 20 to 25 souls because like how powerful this is and how that will echo in humanity, like the people around us, the people around them. I'm sending so much love to your family. And I'm like, even for like, wow, like for a whole entire family to be able to do it during this time frame, or even you having these skills and being able to echo, like you said, into your family, like how beautiful in real time when y'all really could use this, like extra holding, extra hug.
Yeah.
Sisters.
Yes, and the skills that we'll be learning aren't like complicated. Like,
Mm-mm.
you don't have to have a degree to implement these skills. They are very basic skills that we just never thought to think about and thought to do. But these simple practical skills make a world of a difference in our healing and our just living life and fully living this life to the fullest.
Yes, for
Hey, peace,
sure.
Miles Carter.
Oh, peace.
Yes, yes,
Today,
yes, yes.
Rob was looking at a picture of Amaya and he was like, Amaya. I'm just so happy that he's like saying people's names.
Yes. No, I was just sharing with a friend today how Amaya with her cousins being over here, she's just thriving. Like she's just talking so much more. And it's just a beautiful thing to witness these children, you know. And that's another reason. That's another reason why we do this work, because it's like we're able to witness so much more beauty within these kids because we have more capacity to be able to see the magic and beauty in them, because we don't like when you're in survival mode, you miss out on so much of the magic that children bring, or just that life in general brings, but especially these children who, they don't deserve to be yelled at and all these things that, we endured. It's like, let's not do that to the next generation. Like, let's actually learn how to process our pain so we can stop projecting it on one another, especially the babies. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. I shared on this on the last live, but having a 19-year-old and a 2-year-old. My 19-year-old, I really was conscious when I became conscious about being a safe space for him. And one day he was like, "Mom, like when I was younger, you used to yell, and like Ryo would never imagine that version of you." And I was just like, "Oh man, Malachi, like I'm sorry, my nervous system was not regulated at that time." And like, I apologize to him a lot because I'm like, "Oh my
Mhm.
gosh," like, and it makes me have so much compassion for my parents too, because I can understand, and I'm grateful that I was able to turn it around, and so he could actually experience it from me, as well as Rob being like brought into that. And I feel like the biggest catalyst was grief. When my grandma transitioned, it rocked my world, and it
Mhm.
made me such a better person and a better parent when I started healing. That's why I'm like, it wasn't fun at the time. I was like just not myself. I wasn't able to like function as I normally would. And it took about a year for me to honestly come back. And
Mhm.
in that, I just came back so much better and so much tools. And I haven't went as far as down as that time because I needed to. There are so many griefs that I never processed. And I was in therapy for like a year, and it was super helpful. And yeah, so like you were saying, it really, doing this work is not just for us, it's literally for everybody around us, especially when we have children, because we know like there's so many friends of ours who are having mother wounds and father wounds, and how that shows up in our friendships, how it shows up in romantic partnerships, so many different things. Like, I feel like they really do need to be processed. Sometimes we're like out of sight, out of mind, and don't bring it up. It
Mhm.
might bring up too much, but I have learned suppressing and avoiding and continuing to go without pause is it makes it more challenging. Like they say, the
Mhm.
Bible talks about peace be still, and that's what it reminds me of. Like when you are going and you're not listening, it just gets louder and louder and louder. And I'm like,
Mhm.
God, I don't need to be knocked down. I don't need my grandma dying. I don't need somebody dying
Yeah.
for me to get it anymore. I don't need like
Yes.
being disconnected from myself or my children to have me get it. So the tools, you got to use them, not
Mhm.
just in these classes, but daily. So we're going to give people like real things, because it's so annoying when people are like safety and nervous system. I'm like, how do I do that? Okay.
What does that
I
mean?
mean, I don't want to hear any of these fluffy, spiritual, enlightened words anymore. Tell me how to embody this
Listen, we'll
work.
we'll give you both. Yeah, we'll definitely give you both.
Yes.
Because I
Give
mean
me.
that's just how we talk. But yeah, we'll definitely give you the practical. And
Mhm.
the one of the things you had mentioned about like you don't want to have to go through the painful things to grow and to be guided. Our good sister Ebony, she had did a post today talking about how she was getting a massage and she recognized that in the past she wanted like deep tissue. She wants to know that it's working, and by knowing it's working, it's like deep tissue, like aggressive. And recently she got a massage and it was very soft, but she could feel that it was doing what it needed to do. And it's because the healing that she's done has kind of helped to take away the armor. So now she can feel things on a lighter level. It doesn't have to be so intense. And that's really the goal of healing, is that I don't want to have to be guided by the divine screaming at me or having to drag me through circumstances. Like I want to be able to listen to that whisper, you
Mhm.
know. And like you said with the scripture, peace be still. It's not necessarily about sitting in meditation and being still, but it's about being able to eat, like how I was talking about earlier about like how my mind has so many lines of communication. Some of that is just natural, just like my being. I'm a
Mhm.
Gemini moon. Um, but a part of it is just the trauma. So
Mhm.
some of those thought processes are just traumas that have been running since childhood, right? And until we actually work through these grievances, these pains, those radio, it's like almost like having all these different radio channels on. They're all running, and you're trying to focus and hear divine, or focus on whatever you're trying to do through all of that chatter. But the moment you do this work, do these practical tools, you can start to kind of quiet down some of those, or even remove some of those lines of chatter, those frequencies that are coming through. and it allows your mind to be more still. Therefore, you can hear the whisper of divine.
Mhm.
You don't have to go through a car accident or something to sit you down. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm supposed to go this way, or oh, I'm not supposed to work with that person in business, or oh, I'm not supposed to date this person. Okay, I heard it. And
Mhm.
having that being in such a healed space that you can receive wise guidance, and it's easy for you to obey it versus being like, but I want to be held, or I want to be seen, or I want to be lonely. And then you're going against what the wisdom is trying to guide you to
Mhm.
do. It's
Yeah.
like, but if you heal those wounded parts of yourself, it's easy to follow the wisdom and truly live a beautiful life.
Yeah,
It's
that's
simple.
that's so very true. Like I've been telling myself the exact same thing.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Life is simple. That's one thing. When I last time I sat with mushrooms, the one of the messages that came through so clear is like, we make life so complicated. We make life so complicated when we are the children of the most high. And the same way, if you've ever been a parent or an uncle or auntie, you just want to provide to those little ones because you love and adore them. They don't have to be scholars, they don't have to be all these things. Well, eventually over time you convince yourself that they have to do all these things to receive your love, but they don't have to do all this stuff. Like, you just love them, you adore them for their who they are, who they are naturally. And we are the same way. It's just that we have to allow ourselves to to remember and get rid of all those wounds that are telling us that we're not worthy. And it really starts by, us no longer rejecting ourselves. Like,
Hmm.
okay, I do feel sad, or I do feel angry, or I do feel jealous, I do feel envious, and being able to be like, okay, you feel that way. Like,
Hmm.
let's see it, let's explore it, versus condemning ourselves for feeling anything but happiness and joy and confidence. It's like, it's a tough world out here, so we're going to experience some of those other things too.
And learning to be gentle. Like they talk about the gentle parenting, and I was like, I'm doing that to myself, being gentle with myself, with in my thoughts, and
Mm,
like not putting myself to be judged by myself. Just really sitting with everything, and that I feel like that's made other people just be kinder to me, or situations that are I'm moving through, they don't hurt as much. And they say that we do really create our reality. And I truly believe that, like, things definitely will come that are so unfortunate at times. And being able to zoom out and know that everything is for our good. Because it's already written, God loves us so much. So I always have to remember that, like, even when I'm going through things, like, I'm so held, I'm so supported, because I've been in seasons where I definitely have not felt like that. And if someone
yeah.
told that I was loved and supported by God, I would probably be annoyed by them.
Yeah, like
Um,
what?
yeah.
But
Yeah. But that's why, like, it's more important to be authentic and real and feel. God can handle our anger. I saw that recently. God can
Mhm.
handle our sadness. I think sometimes we're like, no, like I can't be mad at God, or I can't be sad, I can't feel any of these things, but God is closest to the brokenhearted. And God to me loves to hear our voices and our truth, or
Yeah.
whoever we
And however
consider
you do
most
it,
high.
don't try to do
Yeah.
it like nobody else. Like, do it.
Mhm.
Talk. I was like, don't try to do it how anyone else does it. Like, talk to
Mhm.
God how you talk to God. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, keep it simple. Like, just be simple. Just be you. And any time that voice comes in that tries to criticize you for doing it your way, recognize it's something you probably learned from somebody else.
Yeah.
It's not true just because you
Hmm.
learned it from somebody else.
My friend literally will talk to those voices in their head. They'll be like, if one voice is saying, you know what, you're not going to do well at this, he'll be like, shut up.
Right. Shut up. Yeah. Be quiet.
I know.
Nobody
I don't
ask
like,
you.
yeah, I don't like to say the word shut up, but like if it's the mind doing something, it can handle that. Like, be
Yeah.
quiet, stop talking. That's not true. Really like. challenging these thoughts. Like, this is not the truth. Where did this come from? Whose voice is this? This is the voice of fear. This is the voice of, like, someone who I grew up with, or someone who wasn't kind to me. Because the voice of love and best case scenario is not like that. It's truly like an unconditional, compassionate, in real time voice with you at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other thoughts that I had this morning was what you just said there about like just recognize like that voice. I think we underestimate the power that that voice has over us,
Hmm.
right? We try to pretend like, okay, just a voice, man, but no, like the fact that you've lived your life so limited, you haven't allowed real love to come in, you haven't put yourself out there to be visible, you keep doubting, your gifts, you haven't invested in this, you robbed yourself of so much living because of that voice. So
Hmm.
those voices in our heads are so so powerful, and we need to address them the same way. If you had cancer in your body, you wouldn't just be like, well, maybe I'll wait till next year, or wait, I gotta wait
Hmm.
till I have more money. No, you're like, I gotta get this out,
Hmm.
right? The
Hmm.
same thing with this. I mean, I feel like these limiting thoughts are kind of like a mental parasite, and they take more lives than these physical illnesses that are
Hmm.
most often rooted in these mental illnesses. So it's like peace, love.
Yeah,
Leaves
we're
just got
who
on.
did.
But yeah, we need to take it. Don't underestimate the power of these mental limitations,
Hmm.
and recognize that by you liberating yourself of some of these mental limitations, conditions, whatever you're dealing with, limiting beliefs, all this stuff, these wounds, you eliminating those or removing those from yourself, liberating yourselves from those translates not only to the mental, but to the emotional, to the physical well-being as you experience through healing your fibroids, through doing these psychological, mental, emotional processes, as well as the spiritual. And that's what, we really are here for, is to really awaken the spirit, the light within ourselves, and live in that light, live in that love, and experience the heaven that comes from that. So
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Yes, I'm super excited for this. I know a few people were asking about the time for me. Like, so if someone is not able to make all the sessions, what are we sharing with them? Or if they don't know about the time, what would you say to them?
Yeah, so the sessions will be Sundays at 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And if you aren't able to make it live, which we definitely encourage, okay, the same way you would show up for a job if you had to be there, treat this with that same seriousness. If for whatever reason you cannot be there, then we'll have a recording of just the teaching portion. As
Hmm.
far as like the discussions, like we want to keep that safe container, so all that stuff won't be recorded. But whatever teaching, whatever materials, and then if you want to tap in with me, Kanisha, one on one, we'll make a way for that process too.
Hmm. Yeah.
So recordings will be available.
I'm like just thinking to myself, like when you wrote me, you were like, we have some tickets sold. It just touched my soul so much because, like, yes, it always feels good when people appreciate things that you're working on, but, and at the same time, how beneficial that this has been. We've been out of the class for a few months now, and it's still one of the most important parts of taking these kind of classes is, the aftercare, the integration, and just feeling that in real time. I'm on my cycle right now, and I've just been really slowing down and not talking on the phone, only doing what I have to do during those time frames. And I was just sitting with myself and I'm like, I just feel so light when things could be so heavy. And I really feel like the biggest part of it is the real time, like tapping in with myself, with my body.
Mhm.
Like, what do I really need? And that this is a new skill for me. But even when I'm not on my cycle, I've been feeling more energized and less like triggered,
Mhm.
all these different things. So it just shows the power of being consistent and making the choice. I was listening to this man, he had healed his cancer. and he was helping a lot of people heal their cancer. And his father got cancer and ended up transitioning from the cancer. He was like, I could have helped my father, but he didn't want to make any changes.
Mm-hmm.
And like my story with the fibroids, I was really amazed because I never knew I could heal myself. I didn't even have that much confidence and belief in myself, honestly, at that
Mm-hmm.
time. And it was so simple, the things that I did. Like, I didn't spend money at all, really. And I just think to myself, like, wow, wow, wow. Like, our body wants to be healed. Our body is already healed. It's just all these extra things that are on top of us, covering who we really are. And
Yeah.
yeah, super grateful for these workshops, because when you go to school, they teach you all these different things. I have an interesting relationship with the education system. I don't really agree with it. And all this energy that they're giving to the students, but not teaching them how to regulate themselves, to know themselves, to understand themselves, to tap in with themselves, and how much of a disservice that is for
Mm-hmm.
people when they go into the real world thinking that this is what's supposed to sustain them, what they've been
Mm-hmm.
taught. And then in their homes, because parents are, trying to make a living and work, they're not receiving that love and nurturing and support. And it's like truly, to me, by design. And so this is like a radical act of like love, and like, just taking our power back too,
Yeah.
gaining these tools on how to nurture ourselves and work with our emotions. I did not like feeling sad. I did not like feeling grief. I did not like feeling anger, any of those things, until probably I had my second son. I started like feeling more emotions and having a better relationship with them. The movie Inside Out was very
Mm-hmm.
helpful. The level of consciousness and the emotional wheel that you talk about, your grief course, like, I'm like, thank God, somatics.
Thank
you
God. That's
know.
it. Thank God. Because to be out here, like yeah, life is challenging. Like life is challenging, and um, but when you have those skills to help keep you afloat,
Mhm,
it makes the hard times not as hard, and that's the goal. Because again, none of us are going to escape situations that are going to challenge us and expand us. You'll continue to experience those as long as you are here on earth.
mhm,
Eventually, it'll be like, how I'm going to spend this $1 million. Like, that's going to be the challenge that you're going to face versus, am I about to be evicted because I can't pay my bills, right? So,
mhm,
yes, your challenges will evolve over time, but the challenges will always be there because the whole point of life is just well, I don't know the whole point of life, but one of the things I feel like we're here for is to expand, and expansion comes through asking questions, kind of hitting a point and then pivoting, this way or that way. Always opportunity to choose heaven or hell. Cup half full, cup half empty. Always choosing which direction you want to expand into,
mhm,
and having tools. You know, to navigate that is what makes the journey so much more fun. So it's like, if I were to say, okay, we're gonna do a cross country trip, you can either ride a bike, or you can ride this RV, or you can ride a plane. Those are going to give you different experiences, and each is going to give you different challenges. You
mhm,
get to choose which one you want. I'm going to choose the RV or the airplane versus trying to ride a bike cross country, because I know there's going to be wind, there's going to be rain, there's going to be darkness, and maybe animals and bugs. Like, I don't want to have that discomfort. So I'm going to use these other tools that are available, and to go on that journey. So that's what this grief healing series, among other types of emotional um, intelligence practices. This is
mhm,
just one of them. But just the more you can become aware of your emotions and be able to respond and interact with them in a way, then they will guide you and make life so much lighter,
mhm.
and just more enjoyable. You know,
Yeah.
even grief can be an enjoyable experience. It can be a beautiful experience. Like grief, my first real grief was one of the most beautiful experiences I ever had, because the depth of the pain it broke me wide open. And I was like, wow, there is so much more to me. I
Mhm.
have way more capacity to feel than what I have been allowing myself to experience due to trauma. I had shut down a lot of my feelings due to trauma, but that grief broke me wide open. And back then when I had that grief, I didn't have all the skills I have now. However, I had the awareness to allow it to happen. I allowed myself to open up, to fall apart, to be sad,
Mhm.
because I was really on my high vibe Abraham Hicks, like my high flying disc, like life is good, I'm manifesting, but I needed to be whole. And it's easy for me
Mhm.
to be optimistic. I needed to experience the other aspect, which is really feeling into the depths of my own soul and like actually being there and holding that space versus always being like, okay, how can I help others? It's like,
Mhm.
have your time, be there with yourself. And this is what emotional intelligence is. And this is what we'll be teaching and bringing to everyone.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited for this because it's like grief will show you, like, I can feel I'm really in there because, sometimes we just think about the feelings of like when you first meet someone that you like the butterflies, the excitement, or like really the red flags, I guess they say sometimes it's not butterflies. And then also, what else what I was gonna say? It makes you feel so good that you can feel something, because sometimes it's like, when you're intimate with someone, you feel this pleasure, or when you have a baby, you feel this bliss. I've realized that I want to feel every single day. I want to
Yeah.
feel,
Not just big moments.
yeah, yeah. I was like, I don't want to have to wait for someone that I'm attracted to feel like the excitement. Cause it's like, like the first day of school excitement, or, if you celebrate Christmas, like waking up to the toys under the tree. I'm like, I want more of those moments in life. I've been thinking that. And I feel
Mhm.
like grief really is a catalyst for that, to feel,
Mhm.
and you don't want to stay there by any means. Well, I'll speak for myself. I don't want to stay there.
Yeah.
Yet it is so necessary to like break your heart open. It is opening your heart, is opening yourself. And I also wanted to share something that I really appreciate about you as a person is from as long as I've known you and when I talk to you, whenever you're going through something, I believe that you feel like, I know that's something that we all are working on. And at the same time, you look for tools. You open yourself up to tools. I feel
Mhm.
like that is a new skill for me to do consciously. Like, I have been in therapy before. When my grandmother transitioned, I was in therapy and I was present, but I don't feel like I was like as conscious and knowing of what I was doing, because I realized that when I'm going through something new or something challenging, sometimes I'm not all the way there. I can't think
Mhm.
about these things or even think about getting help for something.
Yeah.
And at the same time, now that I've been doing that, like that's kind of like a baseline for me. It's been so helpful. And I realized like this was something that came up for me recently. When I was pregnant with my second child, I was like, okay, I just want to do everything by myself. I don't want to go to the doctors. I don't want to have anybody. I just want it to be me and the person that I was with at the time. And like looking back on it now, I'm like, yes, that was so really beautiful to want to do all that by yourself. And it did not go the way that I wanted it to go. At that time I just felt like I already had a baby and I do all these readings and all this kind of stuff, but I see the benefits of having a midwife there. Like my friends who had midwives the first time that they gave birth at home, like it's so beautiful to have an aligned person, because not you don't want just anybody in
Right.
there, like, because I told you I had a friend going through grief that I went to a class and it was not a trauma informed class. It ended up scarring her more. I've
Yeah.
had those things happen. So the importance of making sure like it is aligned and knowing the language, because I think like if someone transitioned around me, I would think a therapist is a therapist, but I used to work in the legal field. A lawyer is not a lawyer. Like there's
Mhm.
personal injury, there's probate, there's all kind of different specialties. And I say all that to say, to go back, like there's so much strength and support. Like I think sometimes we look at support as being too heavy, or like there's no support for people grieving. Like, you know, and then you start looking and there's so many things out there for us. And so that's why I'm grateful that we're making this more accessible to people
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
have, because the support does not make you weak. I feel like me at a time looked at support as weakness. I know a lot of people feel like if you go to therapy, you're probably crazy for going to therapy. Like that's why you got to go to therapy. And all these stereotypes that we have, like, you know, I'm independent, I can do it all by myself. I've realized that that's not always the answer. Yes, God is always present, but and God shows up through us as vessels, like you as a vessel, you know, and just really realizing that anything that you receive is still God. I feel like that was an important realization for me, you know. So now I'm
Hmm.
like, I want to take an anger management class because I have felt anger and just was scared of it. I didn't want to feel it. I didn't know what to do with it. So the importance of like noticing and opening yourself up for the support and the tools.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And I recognize that because you and I have been doing this work for a while. Like sit with our emotions, journaling, reflection. Like we've been in the emotional realm for some time. And also, Aaliyah said her baby is smiling as you were speaking.
Aww.
um, so you and I have been doing this work for a while. So we have a level of awareness, but I feel like most of society possibly isn't at this level of awareness. So I would love for us to kind of just kind of speak to those people who maybe not aren't even aware that they have this unprocessed pain. Like, what are ways, that we can know that we have something that we need to work on in order to even think that, like, yeah, nobody died recently in my life. Like, why would I do this grief healing series? For those people who maybe just can't, it's harder for them to see how this work could be beneficial. Like, what are some clear,
Mhm.
like, how would they know that this work is something that they should explore?
That's such a beautiful question, and I want to answer from my heart. So I feel like the first thing that came to myself is how often are you able to like pause and reflect? Like you said, like we take time to journal, and which is really beautiful. I feel like that is a step, but there's some people who haven't even taken time to journal or sit with themselves. They're always on the go. I hear that so many times. So if you feel like you haven't had a chance to just breathe and pause and reflect, I feel like that this is a beautiful experience for you. I will share some of my griefs that I've experienced. I feel like there is a grief that I'm really realizing that I experienced of having working parents. With them working so much, a lot of things went unrecognized.
Mm.
And, you know, so childhood, even if you have both your parents and all these different things, it can still be some griefs there. The way that our parents disciplined us. There can be some grief, PTSD about that. And, you know, they were just doing the best they could. Like a lot of families used whoopings as a way of like correction and what that has done to their children now. There has been a lot of, there's a new thing I've heard is child on child. Molestation. You know, there is teen pregnancy, there's heartbreak, there's people that you love dying, there's leaving jobs, community changes, friendship changes, weight changes, postpartum, miscarriages, abortions, so many different griefs, and they can be considered like, you know, smaller ones to larger ones. A grief is a grief. We're not judging. It's not like this scale where you have to have this certain one because they all matter. So I would say that would be my thing, like just realizing that there's multiple griefs and realizing that a lot of times we haven't had the opportunity to check in with our hearts. I want to share a story. I remember I was living in my townhome. I had a townhome off Howell Mill for a whole bunch of years. And I remember sitting on the sofa one day and I was just annoyed with my oldest son. He was probably like in elementary school or middle school at that time. And I was like, one day I'll be in my body and I'll have energy and I'll be focused. And I just remember saying that a lot. Like every day I would just be like, one day I'll be the mom that I want to be one day. And then my grandmother died. And
Mm,
that's really what changed me. And I just remembered to myself, like, because I had no choice but to pause and sit down. You
mm,
know, so I share those stories with you to let you know, like, how I got to where I am. Because I know a lot of people, they see me and I'm holding space and they see me as a mom and like all these things. But it's been a journey for me. It has not been just this floaty, airy situation for me. It's been a lot of trauma that has set in my body for a long time. It has made me sick. If you have an illness, I share my story about fibroids. That is a manifestation of unforgiveness. There was a lot of unforgiveness in my heart, mostly with the masculine. I thought I was healing some father stuff. I was in a relationship. I thought I was mad at him, but really it all came down to me. It really was a me thing of the things that I was holding. Not saying that the things that people did not impact me. They did. At the same time, I have the authority and the autonomy of peace and the choice of peace within myself. So that's where I take the power and the responsibility.
absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I hope, hopefully, in hearing some of the examples that Kanisha shared, you're able to be okay. I've definitely experienced that. Um, and you might not even be aware of the emotional impact of that experience on you. Like that, that's something, even for myself, I'm like, dang, like, that definitely was a loss, but I can't even articulate the impact it has on me. We're not asking you to understand right now that emotional impact, but just recognize that a part of you likely was impacted by some of these things that you've experienced unless you really had the tools or the support, either the tools now to work through what happened or the support in that moment to where it didn't become a trauma, it didn't become a pain point, it didn't become a loss, or you were able to experience that thing from a place of awareness to really understand it and let it move through you versus letting it get stuck to you. um yeah, yeah, so we're going to close out shortly because I have a 2 o'clock client, but I want to make sure that we I'm just trying to see if anything needs to come through on my end. Um, and Kanisha, I invite you to see
Mhm.
if there's anything else that's on your heart to share.
I do.
But
It's 1:59 though. You have it at 2?
yeah, I have my Zoom open, so when the client logs in, I'll hop off here.
Okay,
Um,
yeah. I think the last thing that I will share is I was on a call and even what Ebony was saying, she said this part about like even when you're intimate, like sometimes you want to be effed. You don't want to make love and have this soft thing. And that has been something that has came up recently for a lot of people who have had like different trust issues or traumas, like even in their relationships, how it shows up. And it's like when we don't deal with those traumas, we live through the lenses, like everything is like through this lens. And I really want to, when I get into my relationships, whatever relationship it is, I want me to be able to show up in the best version of myself, in the most open version. And that means sometimes um, really sitting with my grief and hearing what it has to say in a gentle, safe space. And that's what I feel like, Dr. Makita, that you really help do for us, like in
Mhm.
your facilitations. And, I love to be a safe space for people too, as well. Most importantly, teaching people how to be safe spaces for themselves. So those lenses, like it might always be there, that echo of impact. And at the same time, we can be safe in our bodies to say, Mm, like, what is this? Where is this coming from? Because all there is love. So is this a love response, or is this like a fear, trauma, old response that I've been using to keep myself safe? Eventually, it won't work for you.
Mhm.
And so that's something that I would like to share too. Like,
Absolutely.
it will show up. We might think that we hide it really pretty with our smiles and our degrees, our vacations, our suppressions,
Yeah.
and it's always there.
Yeah, and that's what that COVID taught us, and we had to just sit down and be still. All the distractions, a lot of the distractions were gone, and it comes to the surface. So, thank you for sharing that. And that is, it doesn't just apply. And I'm gonna hop off here because the client just logged in, but it doesn't just apply to romantic relationships, but to all relationships, especially the relationship with yourself. So, if you can show up and hold space for yourself, which we will teach you how to hold space for yourself. We will hold space for you. We'll teach community the participants to hold space for one another. Then you know what safe space looks like going forward. So all of your relationships will flourish because you're like, yeah, this isn't a safe space. I'm not even gonna get into that one. Right. So by you knowing how to be a safe space for yourself, you'll know how to pick people who are truly safe spaces. And therefore you're less likely to have these traumatic experiences because you're choosing based off a place of wisdom, not out of a space of trauma and need and emptiness and all those things. So
And
um
also learning not to be mad at the other people too, because that takes a lot of
exactly.
energy space too. Because I
Yeah.
definitely have went through that where I'm just like, damn all of you.
Yep.
But,
And that's giving your power away.
hmm
Well,
so
well,
yes,
all right, y'all. Well, we
can
are
we do
gonna
some
close out
a
here.
breath before we go? Because I know we are talking about things just really quick. I know you have to go, but
Okay.
at least one deep breath.
Yeah, so let's close it out with a breath. I invite you to bring the eyes to close. And as you do so, just begin to connect in with your body, knowing that you are here for a reason. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Let's take a big, deep breath in and exhale to release. Another deep breath in. Just being grateful and thankful, connecting into that feeling of gratitude in your heart space, knowing that all that you need is provided. Exhale. And then one more big breath in, reminding us to be the light, that we are the light, and for us to show up in that light as we move throughout today. Big breath. And as you exhale, the light within me sees and honors the beauty, the light, the love within you. Namaste. Ashe. All right, y'all. Link is in the bio. Be sure to register or share it or gift it or whatever. But this work is so needed for all of us, whether you're doing it with us or on your own. Let's
Mhm.
do this work so that way we can live and thrive together. And yeah. All right, y'all.
Thank you.
Peace.
Love.